Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Good Vibes podcast. I have an amazing guest with us here tonight. We have Estefania Viso. Estefania helps women leaders and youth unleash their potential so they can discover their passion and live with purpose. Estefania does a lot of coaching, speaking, online courses, and live events. Estefania, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tom. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being
Super
here.
excited.
Yeah, great to see you again, and I'm really excited to talk to you here. Let's dive right in. Something that you and I both have in common is we really like to talk about creating and manifesting and the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. Let's get into that. When did you discover it or become excited by it?
Well, it's interesting because the first time I heard about The Secret was back in the day when it first came out. It was 2007. And it's funny because I made my first vision board as part of a leadership program that I was in high school. And actually 10 years after that, or less, actually, I think it's about 8 years after I made that vision board, I had written Paris. I had drawn the Eiffel Tower, and 8 years after that, I ended up going to Paris, and I was like, oh, it came through. My vision came to happen, and a lot of other things did come true after that. And that's the first time I actually used the law of attraction consciously, because I had been using it my whole life. We're always using it, right? But that was the first time I heard about it.
And I see you have a little Eiffel Tower right over your shoulder.
Oh yeah, I got it in Paris. So when I was there, I went with my husband, and it was amazing. I said, I have to take some home, and it felt amazing. I love Paris. I've been there twice, and it's just my favorite city. Like, it's just beautiful. I love it. So
that's great. I need to get there. That's one of the few places in Europe that I have not been yet.
You should. It's just magical. I love that city.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love the magic. So let's talk about some more magic.
Yeah.
So manifesting, like you said, I don't know if anybody realizes, but the law of attraction is working for us or against us every second of the day, whether we'd like it or not. Mm-hmm. Just like gravity.
Totally.
So is this something, obviously, that you incorporate with all of your coaching and speaking? Mm-hmm. This is pretty much the main premise?
Yes. Well, I do a lot of performance coaching, and I always teach my clients, and in my courses, I always talk about how it's important to know what we're thinking, and always emphasize that the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we feel inside, and the way we are, is what basically attracts or creates our external reality. So a lot of people think that life is affected by external things, and that their experience of life has to do with, a reaction to the world. But in reality, everything is a creation that we birth from within first, right? So first we imagine, we think, and we believe, and then things come into fruition. And it's one thing that is hard for us to admit, right? As human beings, oh my God, I am the creator of my mess, or I'm the creator of my greatness, right? But it's the truth. That's how it works, So I do incorporate it. And although I don't, calling people and say, oh, come to learn about the law of attraction, it's always something we touch on, so.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I think the problem is everyone knows The Secret, and The Secret gets really misconstrued because everyone just thinks it's you sit around. I'm wishing for this, and then I'm going to sit around, watch video, play video games, and just wait for this thing to come. And there's way more depth to the whole situation. So obviously, your clients come to you and they say, hey, I want to create this. I want to create a relationship, a one that actually works, or a job that I actually like, right? Mm-hmm. What do you have a step-by-step process? I mean, obviously you mentioned the thought, right? The visualization.
Yeah, we go through a step-by-step process. Obviously, there are ways in which you can systemize it, and there's many books, and I know a lot of techniques, but every human being is a different world, right? So we always lay it out depending on people's perception of the world, their blueprint of the world, how they see themselves, how they see the world, and we go deep into basically their world, their story. And when we look at that, then we can identify which things are blocking them from fully expressing their full power. And one thing I wanted to say about what you mentioned regarding the law of attraction, that it's kind of like, I want a Ferrari, and then I will think about it all day, and it will come to my garage and I'll see it. People think it works that way, and some people have actually made fun of the law of attraction because they think it's just ridiculous, right? And because they don't, they think that The Secret was talking about, just think about it and don't do nothing, and it'll come to you. And it's kind of silly, but honestly, people misinterpret it. And the bottom line there, which is going to take me to the law of assumption, is that when you think of the law of attraction, it's kind of like a more superficial law or concept where you're saying, I want materialistic things, or I want a husband, and I want it. It sounds kind of selfish. And when we use the law of attraction that way, we think, oh, that husband and that car is separated from me, right? We separate that thing that we want, and we focus on the fact that we don't have it yet, right? That we still want it. And so that mindset of having the lack of that thing and seeing ourselves separated from it is what doesn't magnetize it, and what blocks the receiving and blocks the attraction. So it's kind of interesting. That's why the law of assumption is kind of like the PhD level of the law of attraction, and we can talk about that too, because it goes deeper than just wanting something.
Right. And it's almost like the more you want it, or the more badly you want it or need it, it doesn't happen because you create all this resistance. People don't understand that, and just for any guys that are listening, it's kind of like when there's a girl that you like and you just want her so badly, or, girls you're dating and they break up with you, and then you're pushing all this energy at them. It's not going to happen. Right. But the minute you stop thinking about her, then she calls you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. The more you need something. So it's all about having faith that it's actually coming, because if not, then you have doubt. And then with the doubt, slows down the manifestation.
Exactly. So that feeling of lacking the thing tells the universe that you don't have it. And so it just mirrors back what you're feeling. And so the tension and the lack and the low energy doesn't allow you to vibrate at the level of that thing or that emotion of having it. And so you don't get it. And I'll tell you, because it happened to me many times. So that's completely right. You nailed it.
It happens to me all the time. Still does, even though I'm aware of it.
It's a process. It's something that we work on and we get better at. It's like a muscle. We have to be conscious. And the good thing is that you're conscious already, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's more than just wanting a Ferrari or a relationship. You're literally creating everything that happens. Like this second that just happened is a reflection of the second right before it. Mm-hmm. So the conversations you have, while you're grocery shopping, your interactions with people throughout the day, whether it be at work, at the mall, everything comes back at you with the vibe that you're transmitting.
Yes.
Your whole day is affected by this.
Totally. And I think that's so important that you mentioned that, because we're always planting seeds. And this is the way I explain it to my clients in coaching sessions, or in my online courses, or in my actual live events. I say we're always planting seeds with our thoughts and with our emotions. Our emotions are even more powerful than our thoughts, right? But they're reactions to our thoughts. So we're always planting seeds, and we don't see the plant, right? The germinated seed right away. And so when something happens to you today, you're like, oh, why did this happen to me? Why did this person do this? Or why did this happen? Most people don't link it to when they planted the seed, which could have been a year ago or a week ago. And it's funny because we don't, a lot of us don't connect the seed planting with the harvest, the sowing with the harvest. And that's where we feel hopeless, and when we feel like, why is this happening to me? And we don't realize that we were responsible for that. And to bring that, to give you guys an example, or you an example, Tom, there's a tribe in Africa that doesn't link sexual relations with the birth of a baby. They don't know that. And it's actually, one of my mentors talked about this. It's so interesting. They don't know that sex is the cause of a pregnancy and a baby being born. So they continue to have it, and they have overpopulation because of that. So we're doing the same. Yeah, I don't know the name, but we're doing the same thing because we don't know that the seeds that we're planting are, bringing a harvest. And it's interesting. It's a good way to see it.
That is interesting. And I love that you used the analogy of germinating. I love using that because you have to keep planting, because if not, then you come focused on the one seed you planted, and then you sit there and you stare at it, and why isn't it growing? Why isn't it growing? Why isn't it growing?
Exactly.
And then it doesn't grow. That's why you have to keep planting. Boom, boom. You're all over the place, right?
Yep.
Because when you think about one for too long, you create that sense of lack. And it's all about having the abundance mindset.
Yeah. And imagine you actually, it's so funny because when I got certified to be a passion test facilitator, it's something where we teach the passion test, which is a best-selling book. It's a beautiful process that I went through and allowed me to find my passion. They teach a formula to create anything. And the formula is intention, attention, no tension. And so the intention part is asking for what you want. The attention is taking action and focusing on it. But the no tension part is the biggest part, where you release it and you let it go. And it's exactly what you're saying now, where, you can't plant a seed and just look at it every day and say, grow, grow, grow. It's not you're going to kill it. It's not going to happen. So you got to just let it grow and let nature do its thing. Let the universe and God do the thing for you after you've taken all the action. So
I love it. So you introduced me to the law of assumption.
Yes.
So educate me on that.
Oh, this is so exciting. It's so exciting. Well, the law of assumption, think about it like a PhD from the law of attraction is a master's degree. The law of assumption is a PhD because it goes deeper. And the person who actually started, explaining the law of assumption and putting it into books and sharing it more in the world was Neville Goddard. And he was a mysticist and a teacher, speaker and author from Barbados. And he lived in the 1900s. And so right around the World War I and World War II. And he wrote a lot of books on it. I highly suggest you and anyone that's listening to check it out and go read about it. But it basically focuses on the premise that in order to receive something that we have petitioned, that we have asked for, an intention or a desire, we have to live under the assumption that is already given to us. So that's like the basic premise. And it has to, the Bible talks about it as well. It says, ask and it shall be given to you. Many other books also say that principle, and they state it. So it's basically, that's the bottom line. That's the basis of the law of assumption.
I love that. That reminds me of, have you heard of active faith? When you show active faith. So, okay, let me think of an example.
I can assume what it kind of is, but yeah.
Okay, so say you here's a story. Somebody wanted an apartment in New York City, and this is one I read in the book. Back in the 30s or 40s, it was next to impossible to find an apartment. They had overcrowding. So this girl needed an apartment. She was one of, a huge number of people. So she had faith in it. She saw these curtains or something that would be perfect for her place. But then she thought to herself, oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to get the place. If I buy them, then I'll have no use for them. And then she thought to herself, well, wait a minute. I have to have faith that I'm getting this place. So she went and bought these curtains.
Yeah.
That's a show of active faith, doing something like that, right? Because if you don't do that, then that means that you doubt that you're going to get the apartment.
That is perfectly, that's, you nailed it, because the law of assumption is just that, assuming that your desire is already realized. And it's a perfect story to talk about it and to explain it. So do you want me to talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah.
And tell you a few more things? Okay,
yeah,
well,
absolutely.
The great thing about the law of assumption is that it tells us that we must live under that assumption, assuming that that thing is already ours. And another thing that is interesting is that we not only have to just think about it or just be grateful for it, but we want to also live under the identity and embody the emotions that we will have when that is received, right? Like when that desire is ours, is a reality in the physical world. So that's another point that is pretty deep, but it's a premise of it. Okay.
It's so important.
So yeah, it's interesting because everything, and the reason why this is possible, right? Because some people may doubt. They may say, "Oh, but why would I believe something if it's not mine yet?" Or how can I live in the identity of the woman who already, for example, me, like one of my dreams is helping millions of people. So I have to live under the assumption that that will happen, right? And so how can I do, and this happened to me at first. I was like, how can I be like the woman who is going to help, who is helping millions of people around the world if I'm not there yet? And the way we do that is using our imagination and really knowing that everything is first created in our mind. And Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Because you may know a lot of stuff, but if you don't use this power that we all have, you will be cutting yourself short. And so it's about using our imagination and knowing that if you think about it, everything in the world, airplanes, cars, were first conceived in the imagination of someone. So there we have it. Like the sky is the limit, right?
Boom.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we can mic drop right now and just end this. But there's more. There's a lot more. But yeah.
So I'll just use you an example, right? You said your big thing is to help millions of people, right? Mm-hmm. So to manifest that, you visualize what it would be like to feel like a person that helps millions of people. And you think about yourself speaking on stage in front of all these people and all these things, and knowing you probably have some kind of foundations or great things you're doing for people. Mm-hmm. And then you just feel it, right? You just think about what that would feel like. You probably get goosebumps, right? You get that feeling.
I do. My entire body shivers. Like,
shivers.
Yeah, it's
right.
Crazy.
But that is the key, right?
Yes. That is where the key is.
And you've already manifested it in the spiritual realm. And it's on its way to you in the physical. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Exactly. And I'm gonna talk about that. I love how you mentioned that the feeling, and the other part I want to talk about later is how to receive it, because we are constantly manifesting and creating, and things are in what Abraham Hicks calls our vortex, which is they're out there. It's just that we haven't been able to vibrate at the same level to receive them. So that's another thing that we want to talk about, receiving, because receiving is an art. But the other part I wanted to talk about was most people get confused when they have an intention. They get confused with the form of that desire and the essence of that desire. And I'm going to explain that. The form is usually, let me give you an example. For me, would be like, let's say I want to have a house. And I say, I really want to have a house, a big house by a lake with a big pool with, whatever. So I want this house so badly, and I'm attached to the house in the form. But in reality, every desire that we have is usually seeking the experience of an emotion. Like the end result is just the emotion that the house is going to give me, right? And so we get lost sometimes in the form, and we say, oh, I want the house, and if I don't have the house, I'm going to whatever, I'm going to cry, I'm going to feel frustrated. And we forget that it's not about the house, it's not about the money, it's not about the car, it's about the feeling. So the law of assumption takes us further beyond the form of things, like the husband, right? The boyfriend. It's about how you're going to feel when you have that relationship. It's about how you're going to feel when you have the house. And so that's where we have to basically, if I were to give people or you a practical way of doing this, which is, it's not as easy as, it's not like ABC, but it's about, think about what you want and get down to the core of the feeling, emotion that you want to feel when you have it. And don't get caught up on the form, and just let the universe or God figure out what house it gives you. Just focus on feeling the emotion that you are ultimately looking for.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. It's we want certain things, not because we want them, because we want the feeling that they're going to produce for us.
And the feeling, guess what, Tom? The feeling is available to us right now.
Right now.
We don't have to wait until we have that. And that's true. That's the true freedom, right?
Yeah.
Being able to experience that feeling without the thing. And that's why so many spiritual books in the Bible talk about, like, don't worry about the material things. And it's so true. And like, I used to struggle with that. I'm like, but I want money, but I want a car, and I want a house, and I want clothes. What do you mean, God? But that's it. Just create that feeling now. Don't depend on something external to have that feeling. So
absolutely. And it's okay to want things. That's the thing. It's okay. Yeah. You can be spiritual and be a good person and want nice clothes and want a nice car and want a nice house. Absolutely. Totally. I think too many people feel guilty, or they feel like you're not supposed to want those things. There's nothing wrong with wanting that, or a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather have a good person. Those are the people that should have a lot of money. You can do way more with millions of dollars to help people than you can if you're broke.
Yeah. If you think about Mother Teresa, she didn't use the money for herself, but she raised a lot of millions, many $1 million, because she was someone who's connected to the infinite abundance of God. And God wants us to be well, God wants us to have, it's just a matter of not making those things, not allowing those things to rob you of your peace. That's all it means, be able to enjoy life however life comes at you, right? That's what it means, to not focus on material things. And so yeah, but it's interesting.
This is my favorite topic to talk about. Yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Me too.
And you mentioned Abraham Hicks. I'm just obsessed with her.
Yeah, they're awesome. I love her and Esther.
Did you? I think she was in Boca a few weeks ago. Did you know that? Yeah, no. That's what someone told me. I didn't even know.
Oh, that's cool. I have to check. I have to be more on top of these people and follow them, so I know when they're coming nearby me.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else with the law of assumption or law of attraction that you'd like to speak on?
There's a lot. Well, I highly recommend that anyone listening, and you, Tom, check it out online. I will probably be releasing a course about it soon, because I feel like I'm so passionate about it, and we're using it all the time. I have used it in my life, and I never realized, oh, this is the law of assumption. Now I can systemize it and show it to people. But mostly it's just one, realizing that we have the power in our imagination to be one with God and with source and with the universe, whatever you call it. And there's no limit to what we can create. Even the Bible says it, you can do the same things that I can do. Jesus said that, like Buddha talked about it. All these leaders and these enlightened people have told us. So knowing that we can create anything with our imagination first, and remembering that we have to always be in the identity of that which we want. So and to make it simple, is how would you act if you were already there? How would you act if you already had that thing, and act from that place so that you can vibrate at the level and feel the emotions. And so a practical way is for you or anyone to journal every day. Journal your vision and say, I am living blah, 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 your grandest vision, and that will put you in the right energy to take action from that place. So that's what I recommend.
So with journaling, what about affirmations or anything like that? Or is that what you're saying? To journal?
I can
you hear
explain.
That?
Yeah, is that a train?
It's a train.
That's cool.
Train.
Decided to
Yeah,
pass
I
by
can throw
now.
a rock and hit it. Yeah, I need to do something funny because it happens every time I'm doing one of these.
That's a sign that you're in alignment. That's really good.
That there's a train coming by.
That's
there
fine.
You go. I'm in alignment. That's what it's all
good.
about.
Yeah. So first thing, journaling is you can do journaling about your desires, the beliefs that you want to choose to believe. So let's say you had a limiting belief around money or around something, or you think, oh, it's not possible to reach that goal. Then you create a new belief and you journal about it. You can also free write about your dreams, because usually, it's good to imagine and use our visualization. But when you use, there's actually studies that prove that the use of your hand and that connection with your brain is very powerful. So writing is also huge. So writing out your vision, writing out new beliefs, affirmations too. And when it comes to affirmations, I'm glad you mentioned, because self-talk is huge. And it's funny because when you think of the law of assumption, you get what you are, right? We don't get what we want. That's where the law of attraction is like, I don't know, not so powerful. But when you think about the law of assumption, it's like you get what you are, not what you want, right?
What you are, what you feel.
And what you feel, and you are what you feel, right? And so when you use the affirmations that begin with I am, anything after I am goes straight to your unconscious. It's true to your unconscious mind. So when you say affirmations and you change your self-talk, your inner world, your outer world would automatically change. Okay? So using affirmations that begin with I am is huge. Like, I am powerful, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am a successful coach, and I'm a successful speaker. I use that. Using those affirmations will change your life. So number 1, journaling. Number 2, having positive self-talk through affirmations and the inner dialogue that we have in our mind. That's
great.
Yeah. Those are practical ways to do it.
Absolutely. I learned a little trick with the affirmations.
Okay.
Because sometimes you can say ones that are so far away from where you're currently at that it's not congruent with you, and your subconscious kind of doesn't believe it. Like if you weigh 500 pounds and you say, I have 8% body fat, there's a huge disconnect there.
Yeah.
So the trick I learned on some of those is to say, I choose. I choose. So
totally.
Say you're somebody that
I choose to believe.
I choose to believe, right? Or say you're homeless, right? And you want to be a millionaire. If you say I'm a millionaire, sometimes there's such a big gap between where they're at vibrationally. If you say I choose to be a millionaire, then your mind can wrap itself around that a little bit, right?
Yeah. That's a good way to fight that dissonance that will come, right? That crash between your beliefs and your reality, which is the hard thing. Yeah. That's good. And it's good to use I choose. It's used to use I am. Anything works. Like, as long as you're reprogramming, it's great. And one other thing I can give to you guys, which I learned from one of my mentors, is when you're journaling or even thinking, if you can't write it, it's fine. But if you have a notebook, it's even better, is to find evidence of your new belief.
Oh, I love it. You're speaking my language.
Yeah. You know how this is, and Tony Robbins talks about this. I've learned it in my certification with him and many with other mentors. Like, a belief is like a 3-legged stool. It's built by evidence. So when you break down a belief, you write the evidence of why it isn't true. And when you write a positive, empowering belief, you raise up that stool and you support it with new evidence of positive, of that it can happen. So you look at people around you, you look at people who have already accomplished that, you look at your past where you probably already did something similar, and you build up that new belief with evidence, so your subconscious mind doesn't resist it so much. So that's another great way to do it.
And then also another kind of evidence is I'm just trying to give an example. Say you're trying to manifest more business, more clients, right?
Yeah.
And then you notice that maybe you got a phone call from somebody, and then someone else called you and they got your business card. Those things that start to come in are also evidence. And every time something like that happens, more doubt is removed. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. It's like every time you see something, even something little that's like not a big deal, you're like, that's evidence. Mm-hmm. My phone's blowing up. Evidence. Even though maybe you haven't manifested the 10 new clients or whatever you're looking for. Yeah. It's like, hey, here it comes. It's coming.
Totally. Don't discount anything. Discount nothing. And that's one of the keys to receive. Discount nothing. Everything is it's a little sign that things are working out. And if we see life that way and we're grateful, we fast forward to the real attainment of that thing that we wanted. So.
Right. You said grateful. So gratitude's another huge part of this, right?
Yeah, the law of assumption is huge in gratitude, because you basically are walking as if your desire is already answered. And it's funny because some people struggle with it. And the way I explain it is there's different types of gratitude. There's unconditional gratitude and there's conditional gratitude. Some people choose, and I've done it, I do it too still, it's a work in progress, but it's like, I will be grateful when my outcome is already here, when I see it with my eyes. But with the law of assumption, the way it works, and this law is always working, right? It's when you're grateful for what you have not seen yet, you will bring the invisible into the visible world. That is huge. And it's written in a lot of spiritual books too. Especially, I've seen it in the Bible. You have to be grateful for that house, for that life, before you see it. That's what faith is all about. That's active faith. So go ahead.
That's starting to vibrate on the same level of the thing you're trying to manifest.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. The thing with us, we are just, humans are too skeptical about the good, and we believe the bad too quickly. Right? And we're always like, is it really that good? Right? When good should be the normal, but we've been biased towards the negative, right? We're like, oh, what if it doesn't go well? And we believe that right away. We create a whole movie about how it could go wrong. Why not bias ourselves towards the positive?
Yeah. And you put up a post on Facebook today saying, what are you grateful for, right? Something like that? Grateful for today? Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how the energy shifts with the people, your friends that start commenting, right? And it just changes the whole energy.
Yes.
Like, hey girl, I needed that, thanks. And, because people forget about that. They need to think about stuff.
Yep. It's just an energy changer. Gratitude is an energy changer, is one of the most powerful things, powerful emotions that we can experience.
So a little earlier, I want to rewind a little bit. You mentioned finding your passion. Mm-hmm. And because you said that you did some test or something, and you discovered your passion.
Yes.
Which is great, because how many people in this world don't even really know what their passion is, or they kind of think they do, and they're not sure what their calling is, right? What their calling is. I'm not even sure what my calling is as of right now. I know I'm on the path, but I'm not sure. Tell me a little bit about what it was like when you discovered your passion and your calling, because that's a big moment in someone's life.
Yes. It's funny because I had always knew, right? Your soul has always known. We always know, but most people kind of ignore it or deny it, right? Because we're afraid of our own greatness unconsciously, right? And I had known that I always wanted to help a lot of people. Actually, since I was little, I was a performer. I loved being in front of people. I was in theater. Any opportunity I had to dance, I would just go. And those were clues to my passions and my purpose. And so I was passionate about theater, and that passion is usually our passions are usually clues to our purpose. So what I want you all to do is to think about, what are you passionate about, and those will be the clues to your purpose. And so my story happened when I graduated college, honors, worked for Citibank, Latin America, Mexico, then went to work for a smaller firm. And I was like, I made it. I graduated with honors from a good university. I had a great job. I have a good future. I'm going to be a CEO. And that was the success that I had created for myself. And when I was working in the corporate world, I was like, oh my God, this is not at all what I thought I was going to enjoy, right? And I wasn't passionate about my work, and I would look out the window during work hours and look at everybody playing outside, and I desired freedom, right? I wanted that freedom to do whatever I wanted in the mornings and in the afternoons and go wherever I wanted to. And I desired helping people. I was already doing it at my church, but then I wasn't doing it full time, and I just wanted to do it full time. And so I was searching, and you are probably in that process too. People search and listen to things like this podcast. And I came across a guy who was actually in a podcast too. And he said, I help people find their passion, and that's my job. And I was like, do people pay you for helping them find their passion? How is that? I realized, oh my God, I want that job. So I reached out to the guy, and he was big at the time. He's bigger now. And he answered, so I was happy. He told me, oh, my journey started with the passion test. I said, what's the passion test? And the passion test turned out to be a best-selling book by Janet Atwood. And it's a book that's been sold all over the world. I read the book. I was like, I'm reading this book because I need to know. So I read the book. You guys can Google it or email me, and I can tell you about it and give you links and everything. And in the book, she tells her story, and I just fell in love with it. And I said, I want to be certified to teach the process. And they do offer a certification that I can tell you guys more about as well, where they train you to coach other people through the process of the passion test. So that's how, that was kind of like the climax of that moment when I said, I want to do it. And then other things happen after that, and I can talk more about it, but it's a long story. So that's how I got started in this journey. So
people can come to you, and you will lead them down through the passion process?
Yes, I can take them through the passion test, in a 3-hour session. And then just take them through and see what their passions are. And usually what happens is, our passions, the things that we like, are clues to our purpose. They're like the breadcrumbs, right? Mm-hmm. And they will give you an idea. And once you're done, you're going to have a system and a way to get closer to that purpose every day. Because the only way we can enjoy a passionate life is by living it, right? Yeah. So what I do is allow you to get clarity, and allow people to get clarity. And my clients love this, clarity about what they love to do, and just how to do it, how to get started. So it's amazing.
So how about when they tell you, oh, well, I don't have time to do this now, or I can't afford to quit my job just yet, right? I mean, it's a problem everybody has.
That's a great question. Yes. There's a lot of doubt around that. There's a lot of limiting beliefs, and that's the first thing that limits people from living a passionate life. They're limiting beliefs, limiting concepts, and limiting ideas. We have this notion that, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, but that's just a belief that we have created. And the other thing is, you can start small. You don't have to wait to quit your job and be a millionaire to live your passion. Like I used to limit myself and say, I don't have enough money to do that, so I can't go. No, there's always, like we said, if you focus on the essence of that desire, you can always go and play softball after work, or go to Toastmasters, like, Tom and, we talk about that too, or go to help children after work and just live that passion, or join dancing classes. And so we don't have to do it full time to enjoy it. We can start small. So. By
the way, when are you going to come to one of our Toastmasters?
Yeah, meetings? I need to go. I've been delaying it. So I will be joining you guys for sure. I have to.
We switched. We're at the new Kaiser building.
Awesome.
In Tradition.
Oh, that's closer. Much better.
There you go.
Good. I'll be there. I need to do it.
So I'll see you Monday at 6:30, right?
I have a client that I finished with at 6:30. That's the problem. But we'll work it out. We'll work it out.
We'll work it out.
I need to be there for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned this book, The Passion Test. Are there any other great books that you've just read or are reading right now?
Yes, I recommend the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. He's a Toltec, and the 5th Agreement. I love those books. They are very related to the topic that we talked about today. I have another one here, The Battlefield of the Mind. This is a very Christian book, so if you guys are not into Christian, like, this is gonna be like straight up Christian Bible. So I love it. It's huge. It has sold over 4 million copies by Joyce Meyer. I love it. Whether you're Christian or not, it's gonna change. It's gonna blow your mind. And those are the ones I can recommend now. I mean, The Passion Test and Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to read that. Those are like my recommendations.
It's funny you mentioned about the religions. It's if you look, every single religion, they all kind of believe the same thing.
Totally.
In essence, right? There's a God or a universe, whatever you want to call him, right? And we are all created in the image of God, and we are all God-like, and we are all God in a way, or we are God, or however you want to look at it. And it's all the other crap that gets misconstrued, and that's where all the problems lie. If you look at the basic fundamentals of all of them, they all think the same thing.
God is one, and everything's the same. It's just that human beings, we interpret the world through symbols, and so some people learn the Buddhist symbols, some others learn the Christian symbols, but it's all the same. So I always say that because I like to respect people's religions, but guys, it's the same thing. You're totally right. So
I'd like to always ask at the end for something authentic. It's easy to talk about past struggles because they're in the past, right? But to talk about something that you currently deal with, do you have any, fears or anything that you're kind of feeling weird about?
Yes, I can talk about that.
Just get raw for a minute.
Yeah, my biggest struggle has been in this journey has been to believe in myself. I consider myself someone very confident because someone who does videos, who stands in front of people and talks and speaks, I'm more confident than the average person. But the biggest limitation for me has been my self-belief in this journey. I've accomplished great things, but imagine if I believed in myself more, I could have done so many more things faster. So I've had to work tremendously in believing in me even more, and believing in my purpose, because sometimes you start the journey and you're like, I'm here to help people, but the voices come and they're like, who are you? Like, and I've had those voices, who are you to change the world? And I'm getting goosebumps. Who are you? Estefania, you are just too young, like nobody's gonna listen to you. And I've had to battle those beliefs. My daughter's back, so she wants me passionately. And so believing in myself. And another thing is living my life without caring so much about what others think.
That's important.
Huge. Right? So
don't take anything personal, like the 4 Agreements says. Yeah,
and just live your life. Don't worry. And it's hard. I can say it's hard because you want to be loved, right? So if you do something that's gonna upset somebody you love, then you will retreat immediately from it. So,
right.
So,
well,
Go ahead, Tom.
I have 100% belief in you.
Thank you.
100%. And
thank
I love
you so much.
your energy.
Yes.
How can people get a hold of you?
Okay, they can go to estefaniaviso.com. That's my website. They can
spell that out real quick.
ESTEFANIAVISO, Estefania Viso, small v.com. They can find me on Facebook at Nia Viso Coaching. They can also find me on Instagram at Estefania Viso, and Twitter, Estefania Viso, and YouTube. YouTube is big. I have lots of videos to help. And my Passion in Action Academy on Teachable. which, you know, we can share the link as well in your podcast or
Absolutely.
with this
Absolutely.
video.
So Nia Viso Coaching and Estefania Viso, Instagram, Facebook, and estefaniaviso.com. Estefania, thank you so much. I had so much fun talking about all this. I am honored to have you here. You've got an amazing energy, and you kick ass.
Thank you so much, Tom. So excited. Blessings to you. Love. Good vibes to your audience and everyone listening. And remember, the sky is the limit, and you were made for greatness, everybody. So remember that. Thank you.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.